This one's a little late, but I'm here nonetheless, so let's talk about it. So for the one person that really cares and wants to know what the hell happened to this series, I was watching them weekly and the videos weren't coming out. My life, everything just got busy, and the show ultimately wasn't just filling me with excitement, it was quite underwhelming. But I'm here today because Hawkeye has been streaming and it's almost finished, and I want to talk about that. But first, this is my roundup of episodes 4 to 9 and what I thought of the show overall, as well as a grade. This video is going to be a bit more relaxed and a bit of a chill out time. I'll throw a full spoiler warning in just in case, for whatever reason, that I happen to spoil something. If you wanted to watch What If, it's all streaming on Disney Plus, you can go for it now, but here I am, giving you my thoughts. What did I think? So, episode 4 is where we'll start, and that is, what if Doctor Strange lost his heart instead of his hands? This is my favourite episode of the whole show. It was an absolute treat, a highlight. Evil Doctor Strange is very evil Doctor Strange. That's what everyone's calling him. That Doctor Strange is very compelling. The whole episode was just very well written. It even got me in the feels. The power of animation sometimes is phenomenal, and that episode, for me, is clearly the standout. If you want to sell the show, watch episode 4, What If Doctor Strange Lost His Heart Instead of His Hands, because it's the highlight of the entire show. Next up, we have episode 5, which is What If Zombies, just zombies. And this is the episode I was most excited about when the show was coming out, because I've read the Marvel Zombies comic book and it's just twisted. It's really twisted. The graphic novel is great. If you haven't read it, I recommend you go out and read it. But this episode was one of my least favorites, and that's because it tried to be funny. The tone is so inconsistent, because Marvel Zombies is a really dark alternate timeline, and they tried to have heaps of jokes and humor and levity to it, and it doesn't work at all. Put yourself in Spider-Man's shoes, alright? Zombie apocalypse, Aunt May has died, Mary Jane has died, Tony Stark is dead, everyone you love and care about is gone. It's very bleak. But he's streaming videos on, how to survive the zombie apocalypse 101 kind of thing, and that doesn't work at all. It's very messy tonally, and for that, it doesn't work. And it was at this point I realized you'll have a really dark and maybe serious episode with like Doctor Strange, and then you'll get ones that are just fun and levity, and I don't care for the light, fun stuff. Not in this show anyway. What if I like to see a darker parallel where the story could have gone had this one event changed? So jokes and horror didn't work for me, but what happened with episode 6? What if Killmonger rescued Tony Stark? Well, this episode was again a bit underwhelming. It was okay, but it's kind of what you were expecting it would be. Okay, if Killmonger rescued Tony Stark, well, Stark would be like, wow, you're awesome. You could just be a part of my firm. You saved my life. Here's everything. Killmonger, we know, is obviously not a super cool dude. So take advantage of that, either kill Stark or take advantage of the company or do something like that. He obviously has his goals with Wakanda, so there would be a war there, but it got a little bit confusing. It's been a while since I've seen it, but I remember being confused on what his goal was, because he had lined up Stark and the army and everything and the outside world to take Wakanda, but then he'd also gone into Wakanda and now claimed that as his own, and that was also his army. So he's having like two sides that he's both on fight each other. For what reason, I can't remember. I could be completely wrong and there's actually a valid reason, but that's how I remember it, and just having more questions rather than answers. Again, it was an okay episode. It wasn't bad, but is this the best that they could think up of? Which was what I was thinking until I watched the episode after. Episode 7, What If Thor Was an Only Child? Also known as What If Thor Was a Party Animal? So this is what I meant with, you'll get a kind of serious episode and then a really light, fun episode. They wanted to just kind of balance it like that for whatever reason, which makes it feel very inconsistent. You don't want to watch every episode then, you want to just pick and choose. And that would be okay for me if that's what the premise just was, that each episode you got something different. But ultimately we find out that there's an overarching story and a season finale, which I don't really care for. Not in a what if scenario, because each timeline should just be its own thing, and once we see it, that should be it. Give us a cohesive and complete experience in one go, rather than string it along for multiple episodes, unless it is really interesting. So what if Thor was an only child? Well, he would be arrogant and greedy and ego-filled and party-like, and it's just kind of fun without any of the damage. I don't know if damage is the right word. Like life experiences that make him stronger and grow as a person. So he's very childish. And it's ultimately a waste of an episode for me. You had Captain Marvel show up, it didn't really do much for me. Although when they were hitting each other, they were flying across different parts of the planet entirely, which didn't make much sense. Only because I get that it's animated and I get that it's all superhero stuff, but the show wants us to take it serious as actual alternate realities to the actual MCU that we know. Well, that just doesn't make sense. Being punched from one continent to another, we don't have that. Anyway, and that episode leaves us with a teaser for episode 8, which was on the better side again. What if Ultron won? Well, if Ultron won, he would take over Earth, he would have his army of robots, but then Thanos would come for the Infinity Stone, so Ultron would have to fight Thanos, which was ultimately underwhelming, but I understand it, I get it, but we could have had something cooler, and Ultron just becomes so self-aware and takes over the galaxy entirely. It's pretty cool. I love his outfit and his form much more here than what we had in Age of Ultron. I don't like the moving lips. Why would he want to be more human-like? Conversation for another day. If you want to hear about that, I have the review of Age of Ultron up on the channel, so go check that out. If you care to hear my thoughts on Ultron, they're there. But after we have Ultron win, we have one more episode, which is episode 9, and it's the finale of the show. What if the Watcher broke his oath? So we see glimpses of the Watcher throughout the whole show. He's watching all these different people and their stories, but then this one with Ultron, he becomes so powerful and self-aware, he is aware of the Watcher's presence, breaks through, causes him some havoc, so the Watcher's like, okay, I need to assemble the ultimate multiversal team to take down Ultron. And this is where it gets a little bit confusing and hard to buy, because if you want the ultimate team, alright, to take on the most powerful being they've ever been faced with, you want Peggy Carter as Captain Carter. Alright, I've got no doubt she's as strong as Steve or whatever, but do you really, you don't want someone that's more like a Superman and not just a human with great strength? Well, like, look at how Thanos stood against Ultron. What is she going to do? And then you got Party Thor to join the team. Out of every Thor ever to exist across all of the multiverse, that's the strongest one you could choose. Because the Watcher, I can't remember any quotes exactly, but he's claiming like this is the ultimate team. This is the best that you could do, which makes me think that the Watcher is just not there. It was after the show came out, I found out about a lot of the show's problems and issues. It was all being done during the COVID pandemic, and the episodes were originally supposed to be about 40 minutes, not 20. And there's an entire episode that's missing. It was going to be 10 episodes, because if you notice in the last episode, Gamora wearing Thanos' armor just kind of shows up out of nowhere, and that was an episode that just didn't end up coming to fruition. So the show had a lot of problems, and given the chance, I would be interested in seeing a season 2, which is already announced and gonna happen, but I would be down for it. But I don't want the funny episodes. They feel like filler, and they're just taking away from other episodes with cooler things we could be seeing. What if Thor was an only child? There's really no other stories, what if things you can think of that are better than that. There's been so many amazing what if stories, especially across the comic books. I'd much rather see what if Captain America had never gotten frozen. That alone is better than what if Thor was an only child. Or maybe the question of what if Thor was an only child is okay, but it's the execution and what they did with it. They just had Thor get drunk and party for 20 minutes. I see why Chris Hemsworth wanted to do it. He wants to keep pushing Thor in this more fun direction. So the show's had a messy production. This is also the last thing that Chadwick Boseman got to do. He appears in the last episode, he appears in Zombies, and it's ultimately sad because it's not that the showrunners couldn't give Chadwick a great last outing as the Black Panther. It's that the show suffered in its production to begin with. It's just the whole journey of What If became a mess in the end. It's still very cool as a concept and a show. I would love to see more, but as I told you already, I just want the really cool ones like Doctor Strange if he lost his heart instead of his hands. I'd rather have 3 great episodes that are 40 minutes than 10 that are kind of mediocre. Ultimately, What If, it's got highs, but it's got a lot of lows too. And so when you balance it all out, What If for me is going to get a 5 out of 10. It's okay. That's all the best I can give it. However, when Chadwick Boseman is there, he kills it. Honestly, I would have really loved to have seen where his version of Star-Lord ends up. That's unfortunately something we're not ever going to see. But thank you for everything you've done. You've given us and millions of people some awesome kick-ass movies. And I hope that wherever you are, that you're resting in peace, mate. And that you're able to see and know that Everyone loves you, man. Anyway, it's getting too emotional, but that's my thoughts on What If. However, we're going to be talking about Hawkeye very soon, so if you want to stick around for that, consider subscribing or liking the video. If you've made it all the way through to the end of the video, you're a bloody legend, and hopefully I can see you guys next time. Bye, guys.